all to join me in a cold cup of coffee, if you don't mind, because I got a lot of mail yesterday of people telling me that it's not true and that Intense leaves all types of drops on the bottom, even in boiling hot coffee, because it's not coffee. So, and kavachomer in cold. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to make myself, l'shem shemayim, of course, a cold cup of coffee. This is Intense. Intense. I don't work for them, Rabbi say, right? But well, that's a lot right now because, you know, I do have to sleep tonight. Now, usually I use sugar cubes, but it won't dissolve in the water. So what can I do? L'shem shemayim, of course. Okay, now this is cold water. I'll drink it fast so that you can all see it's cold. Okay, 1 minute. 1 second. Do you guys mind if I get some milk? To have this thing without milk would be quite a, just 1 moment, Rabbi said. I forgot the milk. Okay, everybody say, this is milk. This is my coffee. Okay. I think we all agree I could mix it, right? That would be, you know, little fiscus girl, this is how you make your father a cold coffee when it gets hot. Okay. I think we agree I'm allowed to mix it, right? That's, you know, right? We can, no? Little Miss Fiscus? I think we can mix it, yeah? Okay. Now, I have a suffix because I knew I was going to do this. And I made a shahakal on the water with the knowledge that I was going to do this. All right, so you know, it's a shtickle suffix. So let me just get a piece of salt. 1 minute. Just 1 second. Okay, that's the salt. I don't work for the salt. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol yeh b'dvaroi. Now I'm doing this l'shem shemayim because I have to get to the bottom. It's very good. You guys don't realize you're missing out in life. Okay. Just remind me afterward to make a bracha achrein if anyone doesn't mind. Now, look at there. Does anyone see here on the bottom little black dots? That's sugar on the bottom. There's no black dots on the bottom at all. It's all sugar. There's really no black dots here. And that was cold water, Rabbi say. So therefore, this stuff 100% dissolves in cold water. And there is no shaila, Rabbi say, that the process that they do to it is a strong process. Because someone sent me an email like this. He said to me that being that you see that in cold water, it doesn't dissolve at all. This is what was sent to me. Being that in cold water, you see it doesn't dissolve at all. And in hot water, it leaves on the bottom, right, all types of black remnants. You see, those things are obviously not cooked, which means that the biggest raya that it's cooked is what this person's saying, which I agree with, is that it totally dissolves in cold water. And therefore, I don't have any suffix that what we said yesterday is the emes, l'choira. That's number one. Is that crystal clear, Rabbi? Starbucks writes explicitly you could make their via in cold water. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Maisa, like that. I still have Moira from Hilchos Shabbos. I just, again, but you can't. Someone wrote me, sent me a whole shtickle Torah written from somebody that writes over there that the stuff doesn't, it's just not the Metzias. It's just not true. The Chazon Ish once said that worse than mistake in halacha is a mistake in Metzias. Because if you make a mistake in Metzias, you have no right to dan the shayla. If you make a mistake in halacha, you're a human being. But if you make a mistake in Metzias, you have no right to dan the shayla b'chlal. Now, Lamaisa, therefore, again, I'm not saying it's muchach even within that. That doesn't. I'm just saying. But if I think most people would have realized that what's the reason that it's taka not considered a proper baking process, that would be the biggest raya if it didn't dissolve. But once you see Meyer that it dissolves, so then that's l'chayra. I think we all know that it's l'chayra. That's number one. Number two is I was asked yesterday about what's the problem with making a bracha on salt? That's Mefurish in Halach and Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Dalet Sif Aleph. That's a Mefurish Gemara that you can make a bracha on salt. Why can't you make a bracha on salt? That's the best eitzah to do when you have a suffix brachas, right? How do I know it's the best eitzah to do if you have a suffix brachas? Because I have this nice sefer here. It's called Kol Mishal Sechel, right? Kol Mishal Sechel. It's a nice sefer. Right. Where's Tzvi Greenberg? Is this the one you bought me? Or you bought me the other one with Chaim Kanievsky? The other one? The other one. So over here in the 678th page, Chaim Kanievsky says, what do I do sometimes when I have a suffix brachas, or when I have, I need the 100 brachas on Shabbos. Lefamim kidei lahashlim kuf brachas ani oimer shahakol al melach. Right? When I need to make 100 brachas, so what do? I take a bit of salt and I make a bracha on salt. That's what I do. So me, that's what I do also. Akopanim, that's number two. You can tell I'm in a stickle good mood today. No? No, Levi? What do you say? Maybe it's because Meyer joined us. I don't know. Akopanim, that's number two. Number three is l'chayra. I was asked yesterday about these filters, right? Who's got them in the background? My Schlitzel filter. What do you drink in the morning at 9:45 in the morning? You Mr. I think he's one of these. He's a filter kind of guy. No, you have right? I don't know. You got Micha for sure, but I didn't want to go public with that. But they have these. Manny, I know Manny. We know Manny. We know. But they have these filters. Does anybody have one that I could just show the item what I'm talking about? That it's like a one of these. It looks like a bag. It's not a tea bag, but like a coffee bag inside of these granules. They put it on top of some type of filter, matzah, whatever, and then you pour the water through it, right? And the shaila is, are you allowed to do that on Shabbos? The shaila is mitzad bishul, the shaila mitzad boirer. These are the two shailas. Legabe, the shaila of bishul. So that we discussed yesterday, and I'm not. Thank you very much, Ben. Right, as if he's doing this l'shem shemayim. Let's see. Where's the thing though? Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, very good. Okay, now, and what do? You pour the water on top of that, correct, Danny? Yeah, you pour the water on top of that. Now, those granules are probably roasted. Is that a correct statement? They're probably roasted and they're probably not cooked. That's probably a correct statement. At least what I looked into, they're cooked. Excuse me, they're roasted and they're not cooked. Now, are you allowed to pour boiling hot water on that? Oh, thank you, Rabbi Fiskus. Are you allowed to pour boiling hot water on that? So, to use a kli rishon, that l'chayra is forbidden. Why is that forbidden? Number one, it's bishul acharfia. Number two, we would have to worry, even if it would have been this bashul, that maybe Eroy, all it was done to it was perhaps an Eroy. I don't know exactly what they would have done to it, but here it's roasted, so there's nothing to discuss. To put a kli rishon onto it, that would certainly be a problem. To pour from a kli sheni is now, we know that Eroy from a kli sheni, we've seen many times so far, the Pri Megadim says it, that Eroy from a kli sheni had the din of a kli shlishi, and that's our shaila. Could you use a kli shlishi basically to do this process? Now, l'maisa, I am worried, like we spoke about, the problem of yesh bishul acharfia. But yesh bishul acharfia, we saw we're only machmer in a kli sheni. We're not machmer in a kli shlishi on yesh bishul acharfia. That's mefersh in the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkot and Memhei. And it's basically a memanashach, like we spoke yesterday. Ad kama that you're telling me that they did a fabulous roasting job. No, it's basically you're telling me they did a fabulous roasting job. So then, it's the regular rules of yesh bishul acharfia that we're machmer in a kli sheni and not in a kli shlishi. And therefore, I'd be allowed to use it in a kli shlishi. Elamai, you're going to tell me they didn't do a fabulous roasting job. So then if they didn't do a fabulous roasting job, we go back to what I said yesterday, that perhaps it's considered a kosher bishul. It's something that's very hard to be mevashel. Elamai, you're going to tell me that you're worried about Rosh Hashanah or Bach Svara, which I mentioned yesterday was a beautiful svara. Shlomo Zalman says that nowadays, when they grind these tavlinim up into very small pieces, I have to worry that maybe it's kale bishul. But Rabbi say, Rav Shlomo Zalman in the Shmir Shabbos, when he said this svara, he was only talking about a kli sheni. Rav Shlomo Zalman was saying an incredible chiddush, which I mentioned yesterday, that when Chazal talked about spices. They didn't speak about the way we grind up the spices in a very, very incredible grinding to the smallest of powders. They didn't have the ability to grind it in the way that we ground it, et cetera, et cetera. So it says Shlomo Zalman, therefore you have no right to say, like Chazal said, tavlinim, don't cook in a klisheni, but we have no right to say that because ours are even ground further than that, than onion powder, etc. Are ground, garlic powder, are ground even further than that. So therefore said, going to Shlomo Zalman, you have no right to say that they're not cooking in a klisheni. Maybe they cook in a klisheni. Now Shlomo Zalman is a chiddush because, somebody in the course of the Doiris should have said, you have to be careful. Everybody say, go and grind something by hand, and you'll see there's always a dot or two that come off no matter what. So then why didn't somebody bring out that dot you have to be careful with, and only the large pieces? Go and take something and grind it up by hand. Go and you'll see. There's always going to be one dot that comes out, which is as ground, as fine as something when you're grinding it in Arifin. So somebody should have said, you have to be careful and make sure that you're not going to go and take that and put it into the klisheni because it's cooked. Okay. So Shlomo Zalman said a chiddush. I would be chayshish for Shlomo Zalman's chiddush in a klisheni, but in a klishlishi, I wouldn't be chayshish for Shlomo Zalman in a klishlishi. That's already much more. Even for Shlomo Zalman, we never saw in the Shmir Shabbos never said that you have to be chayshish for this in a klishlishi. So therefore, when you come back to our granules of coffee, if they roasted it properly out of soif, so then it's the regular shiloh of yesh bishul achafia. That since you can't do it in klisheni, but we have no reason to believe you can't do it in klishlishi. If they didn't do a good job on it, so then it's what? It's tavlinim. And it's a kaishi bishul, that even if you want to say it's ground and whatnot, which ground, I saw those pieces and they're not ground, probably smaller than the times of Chazal anyways, but even if they are, so then al kapanim, you won't be allowed to do it in a klisheni, but in a klishlishi you should be allowed to. Elamai, I said yesterday, but you have to worry about the Chasam Sofer. The Chasam Sofer talked about that we're worried because it's yesh bishul oilam, something like this, that you're not eating the actual product, but you're using it to just get out of it the juice that comes out of it, the taste that comes out of it. So there is bishul achar bishul achar bishul achar bishul. That was the svar of the Chasam Sofer that the Mishnah Berurah Me'ikra Din was willing to be mako on. But I am scared of the Chasam Sofer and I am scared of the Aruch HaShulchan. So when you put that all together, so then I would have said that since it's a shtickle of suffix and it's Ramesha would be mako on these grounds. So therefore I said yesterday that you could be mako if you're going to use the Yad Soledis factor of the Ben Ish Chai, of the Darkei Tshuva, which means that come it's something that you could drink down and that you don't say, oh, it's too sharp to drink, it's too hot to drink. So then if you would use that from a klisheni, maybe make it even a klishlishi to get out of any sfekas. And once you're pouring, you take a sip of that water and make sure it's something that you theoretically would be able to drink and that it's not too hot. You'll be able to drink it nicely. Not every second you'll have to be wincing, but you'll be able to drink it and have a nice hot drink. So then you could do that on these granules. That's what I said yesterday. So I was asked afterward, what about boirer? What about boirer? So Lemaisa, Klape the Shiloh of boirer, that's l'chayr mefurish Shulchan Aruch, which we learned when we learned boirer, 498 shiurim ago is when we started Shabbos. Sorry, 235 shiurim ago. So the year in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Shin Yutes and Siv Tes, it says mishameres. If you have a mishameres, which is some type of a filter, I feel it's fluya of Shabbos, so it's also litain bashmarim. Now, what it's talking about over there is they used to have sediment, and you can't take the sediment and place it onto a filter because the sediment had wine and sediment, basically, juice and sediment mixed together. And when you put it on a filter, it's going to drop out the juice from the sediment, and you're doing mamash ma'isa deraisa boirer in a kli. Aval, if the sediment was there Me'erev Shabbos, now, the reason you need the sediment to be there of Shabbos is like we just explained, says the Mishnah Berurah, because if you're going to take juicy sediment and place it there on Shabbos, that moment that you place it there, it's already allowing for the juice to come out. But let's say I would have something dry, so then it wouldn't make any difference if it was there on Erev Shabbos or on Shabbos. And says the Shulchan Aruch, anytime you would have it there on Erev Shabbos, and now on Shabbos you want to pour water, you're allowed to. So it says in the first Shulchan Aruch that a very interesting chiddush. It's a chiddush in boirer. That let's say I have something which right now, let's say those granules, and right now they're in the this cone or whatever. And now when I pour water on it, so the mixture of water and coffee granules is a taroivis. So you start out with water. In the middle, it was a mixture, and now it's coming out the water from the coffee granules. So you could have heard that's Baira, because l'chayra right there, at least at the part of where the separation takes place, for that moment, the water is mixed together with the coffee. And l'chayra, now it's coming out water from the granules. So that should be a problem of Baira. So that's the first in Shulchan Aruch that it's not Baira. Now, why it's not Baira, we learned back then, it's a big shaila. Maybe it's because you started with water and you end with water, and the coffee time that goes in is bottled to the water. Maybe it's because of something else. Maybe it's because it's oimid lotzeis. It's a shaila exactly why, but it's mefurish in Shulchan Aruch. It's mefurish in Shulchan Aruch. This has nothing to do with the shaila of filters in general, because when it comes to, let's say, the filter that I have under my sink, which actually, you know what? I have it here in the room, so I'll show you. Like here, this filter, for example, which we spoke about in the past, and 235 shiurim ago. So the water goes into this, okay? And basically, this is like a rock. The water goes into this. This was opened by a mad scientist. And the water goes into this. This is a rock. And the water goes into the rock. That for sure is not a boirer problem. That's not an issue of boirer when it's inside this rock, because what could be the issue? There's no problem at all. It's just a rock. The rock is its own thing. The water, it's like any water that's going through the cracks of a rock. And this somewhat does a process of a cleansing process to the water, etc. That doesn't bother us. The problem is that what happens is a lot of times this one over here started out nice and white and clean and fine. And what happens is after a while, you see over here, there's lots of bits that basically shed and all types of zachen and fregnished and whatever, right? So what happens is that when this is all fine like this, if it would be strong and clean and fresh and new, let's say for the first 3 months of the filter, even 6 months, I don't know the exact amount of time. So then the pshat is that the water just goes in and comes out and it's not a problem. The problem is that after time, this is all in a canister, in some type of a tube or a pipe or whatever, and it sits, and on this sheds, basically sheds. This thing sheds less because it's got a very strong netting. But this thing, for example, sheds. Each one has different filters. I'm telling you what could be the problem. We're not going into filters today. But Al Kapanim, here you have, this thing could shed, and little bits are at the bottom, imagine, of this tube. Imagine there would be a bowl over here, a pipe over here with holding it. So now at the bottom is a filter, and when the water comes out, so if this thing was solid, there's no problem. It's just water that was here and comes out. But now that there are bits, when it sheds, there are bits inside. So when the water is going to come out of this bottom filter, that water in that matzav there was disgusting. The water there had water with all the bits that had shed in it. Now, obviously, when it's going to go through the filter, all those bits aren't the problem because it comes through the filter. That is a little bit of a different story, because here there's a point of where the water sits in a tank, like this type of a tank, and sits in undrinkable water. Now you take the water and you push it through the filter when you're filling up the water, and then you basically filtered water which is undrinkable. That is not doima to what we were discussing. What we were discussing was you have here sediment or you have here coffee granules. You start with water and it goes straight through and it never stops. Here, it's stopped in a tank for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever amount of time. So it's sitting there. That water now, we don't look at it as just oimid lotzeis. The water sits there. Now, if somebody wants to say a big chiddush and say that's also called oimid lotzeis. Okay, but that's chidushim. We'll learn Bayer one day again, Bez Hashem, and we'll see if we do hold to such chidushim or not hold to such chidushim. Al kapanim, la'alacha, whatever the pshat is, al kapanim klape, our filters that we were just discussing. The coffee cone filter, it is mutter mitzad boirer because that's a mefurish Shulchan Aruch. Now, the reason I'm even saying this is because I saw in the Sefer Ber Sarim, he writes in Chelekei and Siman Mem Chesed, it's Aser. I didn't look it up. He brings a Divrei Yatziv, and it's a Tamer Rabasi. I looked inside the way he brings it. I didn't see the Divrei Yatziv. It's a Tamer Rabasi l'chayr from Mefurish Shulchan Aruch, not like that in Siman Shin Yutes that we just showed in Sif Tes. I don't know if I'm not sure if back then I argued on this. I don't know if I knew it existed. Akopanim, are there any other questions? Because I saw there was a lot of questions. I'm sorry I wasn't being misyaches. Yes, so Legabe oil, let me see it again. I mean, Legabe oil, there's a few reasons why oil might be not an issue. First of all, it's made in the tzur of a kli. Yeah, so those ones are for sure not a problem with oil. The ones that Danny's showing right now, I think it's Danny showing it, not Rabbi Slansky, correct? I think Danny. So the one that Danny just showed now is obviously not a problem with oil because there's no tefach. Rabbi Slansky is referring to the ones that have somewhat of a tefach space between the filter, right? Is that what you're drinking, Tzvi Greenberg, over there? Is that what you have that type or no? Akapanim. Rabbi Fiskes, what do you got over there? No, you also have that one. The ones that everybody seems to have nowadays are not a problem of oil. So if you use those, they're for sure not a problem of oil. If you want to get out of the oil problem, anyways, we'll learn oil Mitzvah Shem, and we'll see that the eitzah is like when you have a baby carriage and you have to put the net on the baby carriage to block the baby from all the little dragons and everything. So what do? You first hold out the cover, and then you push the under. You push under, you hold the cover out with your wife or whatever, and then you push the baby carriage under. You do it with a shinoi. So the truth is, I'm not going into oil now. If it is a problem with oil, you would have an eitzah, you would just hold the filter and push the cup under. It could be it's not a problem with oil because there's something called kisikalin, and the way we just showed, it's anyways not a problem with oil. The Shulchan Aruch was talking about a totally different case. It was talking about a case of an emesim shameris that you mamish just held out this thing and you made it into the tzur of an oil. But al kapanim, Mitzvah Shem, it's not so much our sugya. Rabbi Silberman sent it again. It looked interesting. Al kapanim is, I hope it's clear. Isn't the only thing we know to be hard to cook is so then using our urns, which go about 185 degrees, one could pour. No, I'm not willing to answer that question, Rabbi Slansky, because I don't know if at 185 degrees you could drink it down very, very in that type of a speed, right? Rabbi Silberman, I don't know if 185 degrees is something that you could drink fast, right? You know, just because, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in Lakewood. I don't know what's going on. Right? Old men, yeah, but Rabbi Silverman is a younger man. I don't know what's going on over here. Right? Rabbi Schlisselfeld, how fast could you drink something in Muncie? Now, a French press, Philip is asking us about a French press. There I am much more nervous about Boirer. Manny Grossman is right now in the background getting his French press to show us. And I'm a little bit more worried about Boirer, but I prefer not to go into Boirer. Out there, you mamish are taking all of the leaves and all of the weeds and all of the various livestock or whatever, and you're pushing them down, and now they're no longer mixed with the liquid, and that certainly might be an issue of Boirers, which is Hashem and Andrew Shmuz. I think back then when we learned Boirer, we were machmer on a French press. French press is much more of a parasha. I hope it's crystal clear. Is that crystal clear? But isn't the only thing that's hard to cook ox meat? No, that's not muchach. That the only thing that's vadai hard to cook is ox meat, right? Yeah, Rabbi Grossman will tell you that this is a boirer monster. I'm not sure why he calls it a monster, but it's a boirer monster apparently. Do you have one over there you can show us, man, Menachem Mendel, or no? Thank you, Danny. So the way you see it works over there is that mamish pushes it down, and when it's pushing it down, so then what happens is that you are basically separating the solids, the bits, which is the junk from the liquid, and that's much more of a real emistic boirer issue. That for sure is a real boirer issue. That I would stay away from, Rabbi say. Akapanim, you need to drink the hot fast in order not to be hot. Sipping isn't good enough. Oh, that's a question. Okay, you know what? Let me read you the Lashon of the Ben Ish Chai. I have to get the Ben Ish Chai. Okay. Let's see how he says it. Valid question, Rabbi Silberman. Where did we say it was? Parshas Boy, I think, right? Where'd she go? Where did we say it was? Maybe I'm in the wrong year. This is all Rabbi Silberman's fault. I'd like everyone to know that. Here it is. Parshas Boy. Here it is. The din achamin shayat soiled boy ein misharim be'etzba. Ella, now again, Rabbi say we're going to learn. We did not learn yet the exact amounts of what the Paiskim, the Heintige Paiskim said. What's Yatzaledis? This is a kula gedoyler, Rabbi say. I'm only using it, but sirif on things that we're not sure in the first place have a bishul to them. So therefore, I could be mako on the most kula dikashit of Yatzaledis by, but no one should apply this when it's real emes bishul. Then you do have to have the most chumra dika Yatzaledis by shitas. Rabbi Kranz, there's no games. This is not something that you could be staying on. It's only in these cases over here. So the din chamim. How am I going to know? Because my wife won't let me burn the children. Is it something that you don't not drink because it's too hot? That's already not yatzaledis by. That's lettuce by. And we saw the lashon of the Darkei Tshuva, that the way the derech of the Moirei Raz is they asked him, was it too hot to drink? I think that was the lashon. Hold on, let me see the Darkei Tshuva. This is all Rabbi Silberman's fault. I want that to be clear. 1 second. Here, the Darkei Tshuva in Kufay brings a minchas shai. Noyigin amoirim im yochel lechok. In other words, could you drink it without blowing on it? That was the nusach over here that they seem to say. It's not exactly clear, Rabbi Silberman, exactly the amount. He's right. Rabbi Silberman's right. It's not exactly clear, even if this, what it is. It's certainly, if he's drinking it hot and it's nice, hot drink, but it's not like boiling. It's not like boiling, the nice hot drink. But I don't know 185 degrees. That I would be very nervous about, right? I'd be very nervous about 185 degrees. That already numbers I'm afraid of. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good child. But Lieberman wants to know: is it sipping or gulping, etc.? It's not a clear thing, Rabbi Isai. I'm telling you straight, it's not a clear thing. Certainly, I would only do it once it got into a kli shlishi, right? And even with a kli shlishi, I would see that it's something that you could be able to. I got to check my urn, and when it goes into the Shabbos mode, it's really not so hot. And by the time you get to the kli shlishi, you're certainly able to, drink it down. You certainly are able to drink it down. Right? It is time for a new urn. Now, Beisai, let me get invited. Okay, so that's a Beisai. That's the haschala over here. That's challah. Now, halacha l'maisa, what kli should people use for each type of coffee? So again, if you want to be machmer like Rabbi Falk, I can't say it's a crazy chumrah. And to not make intense tea on Shabbos b'chlal, Rabbi Falk calls it an iser gomer. If somebody's going to ask me, is he allowed to make it in a kli shlishi? The answer is he's allowed to make it in a kli shlishi. If he's going to ask me, should I make it in a kli shlishi with boiling hot water, I'm going to tell him, I prefer that you don't use boiling hot water and you use the yatzaledis water that I just described, right? And if a person wants to know, does he have to tell people about this? I'll give you an example. Does he have to go and tell people that intense tea is a coffee is a shaila? It's a chumrah in my opinion. And therefore, as long as he's making the coffee, I think you do have to tell people, because some people make coffee in a klisheni. And that is definitely Malcolm Gans fine to be machmir, not to make it in a klisheni. That much you should be machmir, not making a klisheni. So therefore, I would tell people that at least to make it in a kli shlishi. And Rabbi Slansky is asking me Iyar the klisheni. So again, me'ikar adin, it's mutter to make this with Iyar klisheni. I do prefer that he uses hot water, which is not boiling, like we explained, that boiling type of water. If a person wants to know, can he use the French presses? No. If he wants to know, can he use the cone presses, the filters? So the answer would be that mitzad boyer, it's not a problem. And mitzad bishul, as long as it's using that type of hot water, what we described, which isn't boiling hot, and it's a kli shlishi, so then I would be meko. I don't know if why exactly the Bear Sarim was machmir kape boyer, that I do not understand. And kape bishul, we explained why. There's a God find a way to be God find a welcome to be mako. Okay, so that's what I say. That's a sikon. Let me get weiter. Now, I saw yesterday over from the sheet of the Chzain Ish, and there are other shots. We're getting to Turkish coffee. You Middle Eastern sheiks, we're getting there. Relax, right? We're getting to Turkish coffee. We're getting there. Somebody's already asking me, is Turkish coffee, is it a problem of lush? We're getting there to Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee, I happen to hold, is not a problem of lush. It's a problem of drinking it, but it's not a problem of lush, because if you take the Turkish coffee and you make it, the fact that afterward it all settles on the bottom and makes a gush, it makes this like this doughish type of thing, but that's all mamela. That's not what you're trying to do. So be'etzim, it's a drink that you're making in an oifen where you wanted it to spread, and then on its own, it settles to the bottom. So the fact that afterward it makes into a lisha, that mitad hilchos lisha, we learned once, that's not called a lisha because you're not trying to make a lisha. Klape, the shaila of the bishul, we're going to get there. That mitzvah Shem, I do want to get there. We haven't gotten there yet, and we are going to talk about coffee again. I don't know how we got into all this coffee stuff, but we'll get there more besudder. We do plan on talking more about all these topics. Now, by side over here, I said yesterday that the Chazon Ish is very difficult how to learn the Chazon Ish. Is the Chazon Ish being makel on a klisheni on all other products? Is he arguing on the paiskim? So I showed you that the Chazon Ish himself would have been makel, and he would have allowed you to put other products inside a klisheni. However, the Chazon Ish says himself he doesn't want to argue on the Mishnah Berurah and the Minig, and therefore it seems like halacha, if you would ask the Chazon Ish, he would tell you not to do it and do like the Lishkas HaGazis, like the Sanhedrin and the Lishkas HaGazis, like the Mishnah Berurah and the Mogen Avram and the Paiskim. However, the Chazon Ish had a little bit more of a liberal attitude toward a klisheni. Very interesting is that I saw last night in the Chut HaShani in the 184th page, fresh off the press, Rabbi Isai. If the Chazon Ish would have seen the Yereim inside, he would, yes, have been chayshish. It's interesting. You see two things from this Reb Nissen. You see that, number one, that Reb Nissen learned that the Chazon Ish was takamekel on a klisheni, and he's the nephew. So he knew what was going on there. I told you I was not sure how to read those Chazon Ishes. So later, Akapanim, he seems to say that his uncle, the Chazon Ish be'emes, was takamekel on a klisheni klapi other products. In other words, all the fakistic products except for bread. That's number one. Number two is he says that his uncle Taka didn't see the Yereim. And we showed yesterday, it's Taka Plianis Gava, that the Chazon Ish is talking about the Yereim. The Yereim says explicitly that he's machmar and kol dover. So therefore, the Halachos of Bishul is very, very difficult Chazon Ish to be soymech on when his nephew says that he didn't see the Yereim inside, and that's why he's saying what he said. That's one ara. Another aura I have is I saw in the Sefer Orcha Shabbos in the first parak in the 93rd ha'ara. He says over there something which is it's very, very difficult, very, very, very strange. He writes over there that the Chazon Ish makes a dinyan between klisheni of Yoredeya to Shabbos. And he says, what's my raya? Why klisheni? You could be makel on, because array in all of Yeredeya, nobody ever said that when it comes to other products, let's say, like I said, a truma of a vegetable or an orla fruit or something that touched the klisheni. So nobody ever said that you have to be machmir. Obviously, lichatchila, we are machmir in Yeredeya. What the Chazon Ish means is that nobody ever said that we have to be machmir b'diavad because we hold in Yeredeya klisheni is eino mevashel. Says the Chazon Ish. If you see in Yeredeya that nobody ever cared about klisheni being mevashel, so then certainly in Shabbos it's the same thing. Nobody even mentions in Yeredeya that I'm sorry. Let me rephrase it. In klisheni in Yeredeya, there's a very big discussion if klisheni is mevashel, if klisheni is blias. In Yeredeya, there's a very big discussion, a very, very big discussion. The halacha basically is that we are machmir lichatchila. That means that if you take obviously you can't take a knife, which was a treifa knife, and put it into a klisheni. We are going to be machmir lichatchila. If you did it, so then there's kol minei shitas. We make up b'diavad if it's only hefsid meruba. That's a whole nida in Yeredeya. The shita of the here, I'll read you from the Shulchan Aruch over here. The Mechaber in Siman Kuf Eisiv Beis. Roi lachash lizoyer b'daber lechatchila. But b'diavad, it's mutter. That's the sheet of the Shulchan Aruch. The Ramah over here is also not in this Siman, in Siman Sadiyeh. The Ramah is mekel b'diavad on a klisheni. And the Aruch Shulchan, very famous, the Aruch Shulchan in Sif Tes. The Aruch Shulchan says klisheni certainly b'diavad is mutter. The other paiskim, they say klisheni in Yeredeya. In Yeredeya, they say only behefsin meruba. That's the psak of the shach and whatnot. Okay, but the Chazon Ish's taina is that why don't we see in Yeredeya anyone talking about kale bishul? I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Why don't we see anyone in Yeredeya saying that Well, it's only when it comes to klisheni that we're makel b'diavad, right? When it comes to Hilchos Yeridea, but that's only by regular products, but not by kale bishul. And nobody says over there, by the way, everything is a suffix kale bishul. Everything in the world is a suffix kale bishul. The Rebbe told us everything in the world is a suffix kale bishul. Said the Chazon Ish, I see from over here, suffice the chayes that in Yeridea they're not really chayshish for this whole kali bishul business, and therefore in Shabbos also you don't have to be machmir. You have to be machmir on bread. That was the Chazon Ish said because the minig was to be machmir on bread. Adkan. So I saw the Rabbi in the Orchos Shabbos. He brings that he doesn't understand. He brings down over here a maril that the maril says you can't be medame Yeridea and bishul. What's the Chazon Ish talking about? Maybe you can have things that are mevashel. And Taka, that's why in Shabbos we're machmir, because they're mevashel, but they don't have blias. And Yeridea is discussing blias. So how could you be madama Yeridea to Shabbos? Maybe in Yeridea Taka there's no blias, right? But maybe it is mevashel. That's the kasha of the Orchos Shabbos on the Chazon Ish from this maril. This Rabbi is one of the strangest questions that I've ever seen. It's such a strange question. And he writes it like with the maril, and anybody reading this clearly thinks that the Chazon Ish made a tragic mistake, a tragic error, right? Rabbi say, this is tamua to the highest madrega. He quotes a gadol there also that agreed with this question. Rabbi say, when you learn Yeridea, it's pum fakert punkt. When you learn Yeridea, we say that there are things that have blias. There are things that have blias, but don't have the level of being able to be mavashal. In the verkehrtes Punkt in the ganze Welt, right? Over there, when it comes to Yeridea, we say in order for something to just give off a blia, it's much easier. Because to give off a blia, all you have to do is just, infect the guy next to you. But machenkin to mavashal something, you have to go and be mavashal it. You have to change its maos. You have to change its entire, the structure of the item. So we find in Yeridea the exact opposite. In Yeridea, we find, and I'll bring you the biggest raya. We spoke out once that the base mayor told us that when it came to that person that took a fleishig knife and 20 ben yoimai and he mixed around the coffee, the milchika coffee, so the base mayor said, in Yeridea, maybe there are blias and you shouldn't do it. And it's, but Mashen came when it comes to Basa B'chala requires bishul and blias aren't enough. So if you would say by a klisheni that it's mavliya, but says the base mayor, but that's not a riot to bishul. When it comes to bishul, Avada, we're worried that Bishul, when it comes to Bishul, we hold that Bishul doesn't necessarily take place. Rabbi say the whole entire Shulchan Aruch that I just read you up and down and in and out is all mefurish like that. When it comes to Hilchos Shabbos, so we could say that be'em is klisheni zayin mevashel, but that we're machmir in Hilchos Shabbos. We're machmir in Hilchos Shabbos. When it comes to Yeridea, so over there, the Shulchan Aruch mefurish says over there, you're supposed to be chayshish lichatchila by klisheni. Well, the teretz is, of course, because Yeridea, we're worried about blias. And this is Rabbi Tzai Mefurish and Pashit, all of the Paiskim. It's Tamua. You look over there in the Shach. You look in the Prima Godim, all the Paiskim. The Shach says over here that we do have to be Machmir. The Afal Gav, the Kli. Rabbi Tzai, the Shach. Rabbi Tzai, in Shemayim, they ask you about a Shach. I don't know in Shemayim if they ask you about every Yad Yehuda. I don't know if they ask you every Yad Yehuda in Shemayim. I don't know. Every single Yad Yehuda. But in Shemayim, they for sure ask you about the Shach. Right? There's no games. What are you just sitting there? By Spitzer, there's no games. In Shemayim, they ask you on every single Shach you're going to have to know. Right? Now, it's not your fault if you tried. If you tried, it's not your fault. But Kopanim, the Shach over here in Simon Kufay, Siv Katan Hay, which is all the Rishonim. They all say the Athal Gav, the Klisheni, Einoi Mevachel, Mikol, Makoi, Mavliya, Umaflit. So Bezayir, Rabbi says the Kaja on the Chazon Ish, Pum Fakert. What the Chazon Ish is saying is that if in Yeridea you see that the Poiskim don't mention Kalei Bishul, and over there all you need is Mavliu Maflit, all you need is just to give off a Blia, and over there nobody mentions Kalei Bishul, so then certainly when you require real Bishul, it's certainly not going to be able to be Mavachal. If it's not even able to be Mavliu Maflit, if nobody's concerned about the Mavliu Maflit, so then certainly it's not going to be able to be Mavashal. So Chazon Ish's Eisen, are you bringing from a Mariel? So Gevaldik Kasha. I got to look up this Mariel. This Mariel is against all the Achreinim. I know everybody. This Mariel is against everybody in the world. So it's not that's like a kasha from the Chazon Ish. That's a kasha from the Chazon Ish. It's very strange. I saw there was a lot of questions. I'm sorry. What were the questions? No, everybody's done with the questions. Okay. Well, I mean, I pressed the chat. Which siman in the Orch HaShach? This is in the 93rd Ha'ara in Perek Aleph, Rabbi Kranz. Right? Is there any other questions, Rabbi say? It's a nice maril to know. That's what Rabbi Kranz wants to look over there. It's dumb. It's an interesting maril. It's nice to know a maril that's against all the Paiskim. How old was the Shach when the Shach Grada, the Shach Taka and Yeridea, the Shach wrote when he was much younger. Chashem Mishpat he wrote when he was already an old man. He was 39 years old when he was writing Chashem Mishpat. Right? When he was a young man, he was writing already on Yeridea. I guess Yeridea is a bit easier than Chashem Mishpat. Akapanim does l'chai. Now, Rabbi say that's number 2. Now, number 3, Rabbi say that's not. It's an important thing to know, Rabbi say, that even though in Klisheni, when we talk about Bishul and Shabbos, and we're a little bit more, it's interesting when it comes to Shabbos. On the one hand, mitzad hadin, we're more mekel because klisheni is einam mevashel, but mitzad hachumra of the minig Yisrael, we're more machmir because we're afraid maybe klisheni is mevashel because we don't know which things it's mevashel. And it comes out ironic that in Yeridea we're more machmir, even though we were more machmir. I would say it like this: we're more machmir as a lichatchila. That when it comes to going and doing things with blias, etc., we're only going to be mekel. The shach says b'makom hefsed meruba. So you have to work this out always. You have to just keep that in mind. Now, another thing is Rabbi Isai is the Chazon Ish over here in the end of Siman Nun Beis. Okay, that's Adkan Rabbi Isai, the Chazara. Now, we go weiter. That was the basic, a lot of the issues from yesterday. Now we go weiter. So yesterday we spoke about Klisheni. What about Klishlishi? Again, I know I have to get to examples. Nobody should get nervous. I haven't forgotten to give an examples yet, Rabbi Isai. But when it comes to a Kli Shlishi, so listen to the lashon over here of the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish in the end of Sif Nun Beis, very interesting Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish goes, it's a very interesting Chazon Ish. It's also a slightly misquoted Chazon Ish, right? By a lot of Svarim. The Chazon Ish over here, he says, Le'inyan Kli Shlishi. He just finished speaking about Klisheni, and we know the Chazon Ish, when it came to Klisheni, was not so aggressive. Does he yes agree with the Klisheni Chumrah? Does he not agree with the Klisheni Chumrah? Right? So he says, Linyan Klishlishi, b'makim sheklisheni aser kegoyim bepas. He says, whatever you machmir by Klisheni, like bread or like onions. So says the Mishabrua, Chazon Ish brings that haprima gadim is mekel. Even though we're machmir by Klisheni, but by Klishlishi, and that's what we keep on mentioning, that we're only going to be machmir on Klishlishi on a super kali bishul, but nothing else. So the Chazon Ish, loy matzina mekor. I don't know, how could you say this? If you're actually worried about a klisheni, says the Chazon Ish, now he comes with a chumrah. If you're going to be machmer on a klisheni, so then I don't know any difference between a klisheni and a klishlishi. Who cares once the wall cooled it off once it cooled it off twice? I'll explain the Chazon Ish. What the Chazon Ish is saying is that if you're being machmer on a klisheni, then what you're saying is that a klisheni is dependent on the heat. So if the water is boiling, got to lettuce, whatever, so then akamitz in a klishlishi revi, who cares? Saif, it's hot. That's it. And it's all tali in heat. So the Chazon Ish says, if you're going to be machmer on kale bishul and the klisheni, you also have to be machmer on klishlishi, and therefore you should be machmer on bread, and you should be machmer on onions, and etc. And then he goes on and he says, and the chumrah of the Chayei Adam that we mentioned, that the Chayei Adam held that in a klisheni, if something is incredibly hot, which is called Yad Nichvis by, whatever the number is, 190 or whatever. So he says, if you're going to be worried about that, you should also be worried in a Kli Shlishi. Because again, it's Tali and Mitzias, says the Chazon Ish. If you're worried about things that can cook in a Kli Sheni, it's because you hold it's based on the heat. So then once it's 170 in a Kli Shlishi, you have to be worried. And also, if you're worried about this Yad Nichvis business, so then you should be worried about the Chayei Adam even in a Kli Shlishi. You have it's 190 degrees, and you should be worried. That is how I saw the Chazon Ish brought down in 3 Svarim. It's a little bit unfair because 2 of those Svarim are copying out of the first Sefer, right? It's to me a bit of a tema because the Chazon Ish has one more line over there, and they left out this one line. I don't know why. The Chazon Ish says that according to the in that same exact Chazon Ish, then you should be machmer even Kli Shlishi. The next line, the Chazon Ish says, Miu, however, Kavan she'ein el chumra. In other words, the Chazon Ish says, I don't understand the makam for a chilik. If you're going to argue on the Mishnah Berurah, if you're going to argue and you're going to say that Kli Sheni you have to worry, then you have to worry in Kli Shlishi. If you're going to hold the Chai Adam, then you have to worry in the Kli Shlishi. It sounds like when you read that he wants to be machmir. He's telling you, don't listen to the Mishnah Berurah and be machmir in Kli Shlishis. That's what he's trying to tell you. Not just on tea, not just on super Kali Bishul, but on everything. And I saw this brought down by three Svarim, that they bring down that the Chazon Ish was machmir on a Kli Shlishi. Rabbi said, this is absolutely incorrect. The Chazon Ish goes into the next line. He says, "Miu, the whole thing is just a chumrah. Ben mash and nagu valroi vein kli shlishi. Anyways, that had l'chein kilu." He goes on in the next line and he says that the Maisa, the minig in these inyanim is that since it's not clear in the first place, so whatever the people were machmer on, that's what we're machmer on, and whatever they weren't machmer on, we're not machmer on. So therefore, it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that even the Chazon Ish was not saying that in a Kli Shlishi you have to worry about Yad Nichves, and he also was not saying that you have to worry about Kale Bishul in a Kli Shlishi. The only thing Halacha L'maisa you ever have to worry about in a Kli Shlishi is something called Super Kale Bishul. Even that Rav Moshe wasn't machmir on, and the Mishnah Berurah was, and that's the whole nafkamina is only one food, which is tea leaves, and therefore lichatchila for sure one should not make a tea in a Kli Shlishi. That is Adkan, Rabbi say. The truth is you should know the Chazon Ish was mekavin to the Arayim. Derech Agav. He goes on to say, I'm not concerned with this chumrah, but Derech Agav, he was mekavin to the Arayim. Because the Arayim in Reish Ayin Daled says, bidiyuk, what the Chazon Ish says. He says, me, that I'm worried about things cooking even in a Kli Sheni, so then there's no difference Kli Sheni, there's no difference Kli Shlishi, and the Arayim who was scared out of sight. And if you're an Einikel of the Reim, you can't put in anything, even into a Kli Shlishi. But most of us are not Einikel of the Reim, and therefore you can be Saimech on the Chazon Ish and the Mishnah Berurah and all of the Paiskin that you can put everything in a Kli Shlishi, unless it's like we said, a super Kali Bishul, like tea leaves. The Maisa, there's a Maridikar of Moshe over here. I just like the Moshe over here simply because of the it's a geschmacker of Moshe. You see the seichel of Rav Moshe, such a geschmacker of Moshe. Rav Moshe in those short tshuvas that by now everyone has learned by heart, anyways, right? That Rav Moshe in Chelik Daled, Meir, you finished learning them by heart, right? The ones in Ayin Daled, So over there in Ayin Daled, which one, Meir? In the fifth one, right? Right? No. Which one is this one that I'm about to mention? The fifth Rav Moshe, right? Right. Which one? No, Meir. The fourth one, Meir. The fourth, right? The fourth. So Chelik Daled, Ayin Daled, and Ois Daled, it says, Ha'im yesh lachash to the das of the Chai Adam. He writes like this, Rav Moshe. Should you be chayshish for this Chai Adam about Yad Nichves? By now, we really didn't learn where the Chai Adam came from, and we'll see that maybe hopefully today in a second. But he says, should you be chayshish for the Chai Adam that Kli Sheni is mevashal Yad Nichves by lekulei Yama? Ha'im yesh lachash leyad nichves, even in a Kli Shlishi. So he says like this: this Chai Adam, should I be worried about in a Kli Shlishi? He asked this question: do you have to worry that something could be 190 degrees in a Kli Shlishi? So he says like this: he says, Shuva l'shayich leda minig v'zeh. It's interesting. He says it's not shy, and that's basically he was being asked two questions. One is, do we worry about the Chai Adam in general? Number two, if we're worried about the Chai Adam, do we worry about the Chai Adam in a Kli Shlishi? Those were the two questions. Listen to the brain of Rav Moshe. He says, l'shayich haseh minig. It's not possible to know a minig on this. Why not? Says Rav Moshe, because anu machmer on a Kli Sheni b'kol davar anyways. So what's in the game? Whenever we have a Kli Sheni, we don't put anything into a Kli Sheni ever. So besides, what's it shaykh? The yesh dvarim shemitzbashlim, because we're afraid of things that are cooking in a Kli Sheni. V'lo yadua lanu. So therefore, it's lo yadua lanu the chilik b'yad nichves lo motzi. Therefore, it's not negeya ladina. And then he goes on to say, you're asking me, what about in a Kli Shlishi? He says, Kli Shlishi, Yad Nichves, don't worry about it, because there's no such metzias. He says, Ein lil minig. He says, it's not the Geya. Yad Nichves, be Kli Shlishi, Shu Nagea, Lekol Dvarim, Noyegim, right? Ulai Leika Klau Metzias Zeh. says you don't have to worry. There's no such mitzias that there's 190 degrees by the time it gets to a kli shlishi. Now, Rabbi say it could be in a styrofoam cup. That's not so true. It could be in a styrofoam cup that you could have a yad nichvas in a kli shlishi. And Rabbi is not saying it's exeris akosiv, right? But it's very interesting, this Rabbi say. Rabbi just said it's not shaykh to know a minig. Why? Because we're machmer anyways. We never put anything into a klisheni. So it says Rabbi, I don't know if we're machmer on the chayadam because I'll never be able to know if we're machmer on a chayadam. Why? Because we never put anything into a klisheni. Elamai in a klishlishi. There's no matzias in a klishlishi. So therefore, I have no idea if we're machmer on the chayodam of Yad Nechves. Now, the Emes says, the Mishabura says we are machmer on the chayodam on Yad Nechves, and that we are worried. Rabbi said, but I don't understand Ramosha. Rabbi say, no, write me in right now. Tell me things that, of course, we need to know about the chayodam, that we are machmer in a klisheni. What things that are we machmer in a chayodam because of klisheni? The I told you there are certain things that we know that 100%, thank you, Rabbi Markowitz. What else, Rabbi Markowitz? We know there are certain things that don't cook in a klisheni bevadai. For example, what? So you can't say tavlin because today, thank you, Rabbi Gindi. You can't say tavlin, spices. Why? Because like we said, maybe spices, we're going to be machmer because our spices aren't spices, our shkiyas not shkiyas, our nidas aren't nidas. Okay, fine. But al kapanim, water and oil is mefurish in the Gemara that water and oil you're allowed to put into a klisheni. So I need to know, are we machmer on the chayodam, and am I allowed to put water in a klisheni when it's yad nechves? So of course it's the case. It's a very interesting Ramesha. I guess Ramesha means it's just not such a common situation. I guess Ramesha just means it's not such a common situation. I was just asked a question, but it left me. One moment, Rabbi said, before the questions, let me finish this thought. So Akapanim, let me finish this thought. Akapanim, so halacha l'maisa, what's this? If your family is not mako like Rav Moshe by tea, then they're right. The l'chayr shouldn't be because the Mishabura is machmer. I'm not sure what the end of the question was. I think that l'chayr shouldn't be mako like Rav Moshe when it comes to tea. You should certainly not. Mishabura is not mako like Rav Moshe. It's a suffix deraisa. Shulchan's machmer. Mishabura is machmer. Right? When can we be mako? You absolutely shouldn't. Rabbi Guritz, where are you? Where is he? Is he hiding again, Rabbi Guritz? What's going on? You shouldn't be mako like this. He's hiding, right? You shouldn't be mako, Rabbi Guritz. You shouldn't make a tea in a tea bag on Shabbos because that's a shaila of according to Mishabura Tzasser, according to Aruch HaShulchan Tzasser. It's true that Ramosha is mako. I don't think a person should do that lechatchila. Certainly shouldn't do it lechatchila. All right. Now, Rabbi say it comes out very so halacha l'maisa. Rabbi say let's make a sikum over here when it comes to a kli shlishi. So kli shlishi, basically everything in the world you can put into a kli shlishi except for tea. That's what it came down to. That's what's coming out. Halacha l'maisa. Now, derech agav, somebody just asked me, when you take a tea bag out of, the water or something, if somebody was asking me, according to Rav Moshe, how are you going to take the tea bag out? Which I don't know if it's a kasha, you'll leave the tea bag in. But I'll go button. The maisa, klape boirer, if you take out a tea bag, that's not getting the tea sense anyways. If you take out a tea bag and you're not dripping it and badafka trying to, or you're not just sitting there and letting the drips come out, and you're just taking it and moving it over, that's a mefurish shulchan aruch. When it talks about a kibara in Hilchos boirer, that you're allowed to take it out if you're not interested in the liquid that comes out. Why? It has to do with not just psikration, it has to do with the concepts of boirer. If you're just taking a tea bag out and just letting the water come, you're not concerned, you're not shaking it or you're not leaving it there. So then that's not a problem with boirer. It's a shame when we learn boirer again. We'll see why. I'm sort of running out of time here, so let me just tell you two cases over here, and then tomorrow we'll start from the rest of the sugyas of gush and davar gush and salt and mitzvah shem. I was asked yesterday about lemon. Tachlis, when it comes to lemon, there's an interesting truth over here from the Gaon of Moshe, which I might as well I'll read it to you. The Moshe over here, the Chazon Ish I told you yesterday was makel on a lemon. He held you could put a lemon into a klisheni. I told you this has to do with the liberal shitas of the Chazon Ish when it came to a klisheni in general. And he seemed to be makel. I told you I wasn't 1,000,000% sure about this because within the Chazon Ish it was hard to read. But now you're seeing the Chazon Ish's nephew told us that his uncle seemed to have been makel on lemons specifically. So it seems to be that there is a shmua in Bnei Brak that the Chazon Ish was taka mekel on a lemon, right? And now you understand because the Chazon Ish wasn't so concerned with klisheni in general, and the lemon, as it's sad that maybe a lemon is a spice. We said yesterday that, like from the Kseisa Shulchan and Kufchav Dalid and Sivkat and Yedalid, that any spice that Chazal didn't have, you can't assume that that'll get the same heter of called tavlinin, and therefore it would certainly go into the Mishnah Brua's chumrah that we don't put slices of lemon into a klisheni, and therefore if you're having a tea on Shabbos with the tea sense, you should taka put the lemon only in a kli shlishi. In my opinion, that's what you should do, and the Igros Moshe says the same thing in Chelik Dalid Ayin Dalid in the 18th Tshuva. Limoinim yesh leeser bekli sheni umuter bekli shlishi. That's for Moshe, and that's l'chayram. You probably shouldn't put. I was just thinking that this Chazon Ish is a very big chiddush, because yesterday we mentioned that if you have spicy borscht, right? So then spicy borscht, even though normally klisheni is not mevashel, but if you have a spicy borscht, you have a charif borscht, so then that is yes mevashel. Just it's interesting, Rabbi say lemons are considered to a certain extent charif in Hilchos Iyar. This is Nageya. If you cut by mistake with a orla lemon and you cut it with a knife, it's a ganze shaila. I don't want to go into it now, but I would have heard it sad that by dafka, by lemons, maybe everyone should be machmir, even the Chazon Ish, because it's taka charifis. I guess the Chazon Ish held there's a difference when the borscht is the hot, the klisheni is the hot, then what you're putting into the klisheni. I don't know. Halacha l'maisa, you should not put a lemon in a klisheni, like Rav Moshe, like the Kseisa Shulchan, and the Shmir Shabbos Hilchos in the 172nd Iyar also says so. Just I'll mention now that we're talking about tea, just to finish up the product. Let's say you want to make your tea, so you know now you take your tea sense, you can pour it into a klisheni, but now the oilam wants a lemon, so they're going to make it in a klishlishi. Anyways, it's kedai to make it in a klishlishi. You know why? Because honey, l'chayra, you can't put in a klisheni. Now, Rabbi Lang will tell you, because he has all of these, honey, onion, matbucha, and all types of different, you make honey, onion, matbucha, if I'm not mistaken, correct? And honey hummus, right? He makes all types of honey dikazachen. Now, I had a kasha yesterday that I asked the Rebbitzin. I went to the closet to make myself some cold coffee, right? Which is my new minhag. And I asked her, why is honey in the closet? Shouldn't honey be in the fridge, right? I didn't mean my wife. I mean the honey, right? Why shouldn't honey be inside the fridge? Why is honey in the closet? No? Where does it come from to call your wife honey? Anybody know? Where does it come from? It's a Gemara in Baba Basra on Daf Dalid. The Gemara Baba Basra Daf Dalid says over there that Hordes couldn't find the shidduch, the poor guy. What could you do? Right? Just like a low life. What could you do? So Kapanim, what did he do? He found one last girl from the Beis Chishmonai. Now she's not going to be married to this dreadful creep. So what'd she do? She just jumped off the roof, right? So now he had a big problem because his wife just jumped off the roof. So he took her and he honeyed her. I don't know what you said. He embalmed her in honey. The Gemara says over there. He he mummified her. He honeyfied her. What's it called, Duvi? He took her, he took his wife and put her into honey, right? So, and then, she sat there on the throne. Look, it's better than Belshazzar. He sat there on the throne. It says over there, he was married to a female dog, the Gemara says over there. The Pasuk says over there, right? So it's better than that. Balkopanim, he took his, and he put the honey, he put his wife into a jar of honey and balm, thank you. He honeyed her and he put her into a thing and he sat her there on the throne. That's what the Gemara says. If anybody tells you that, Yuchas to Beis Chashmonai, then he's an Eved, because this was an Eved. I ain't sure. Akapanim. So that's where it comes from. So what did he do when people would come in and, they would want to talk to him? And his wife would say, honey, what do you think? Because she was the honey. So I don't know. The next time you tell your wife, you call her honey, you tell her that's a warning. Honey. So I asked honey yesterday. I asked her, what's the pshat that you leave the honey in the closet? No, you guys always wonder, what's the mile of learning with Rabbi Kallus? You have the Mishnah Berurah and it probably has a deer shoe. What do you need me for? That's why you need me, Rabbi Isai. That's why you need me. No? Lang. Isn't that true, Rabbi Lang? Rabbi Isai. So now I asked honey, why is the honey in the closet? Shouldn't it be in the fridge? And she told me, what are you talking about? Honey? Honey doesn't need to be in the fridge. She starts telling me there's no bacteria in there and there's the bacteria goes in the honey and it dies, right? Honey kills corona, and honey kills all types of diseases and whatever. Fakir pum, right? Like Bazai, Kallus started to think, if that's true, then they probably don't pasteurize honey. And I called my friends in Kfar Chabad, and over there they have the honey making factory in Safaria over there, and they tell me that the honey is not pasteurized. Because what do you need to pasteurize it for? There's no bacteria that can grow in there. That's why you don't put it in the fridge. You can't put her in a klisheni. You can't put honey in a klisheni. So when you're making a tea on Shabbos, you put your lemon inside a klishlishi. You put your honey inside a klishlishi. Tell you, Rabbi say, we're out of time, right? Sikum is that when you call your wife honey today, right, you now know what you're saying. All right, Rabbi say, I'll see you all tomorrow. I still miss you. I miss you all. Unmute my brothers. I can tell them how much I love them. Yeah.
Want to say hello to Rabbi Kallus?